We're gonna open up the meeting. Today is March 2nd, 2023.
Recording in progress.
Today is March 2nd, 2023. It's a Thursday, and this is the Board of Selectmen's meeting. Welcome, everybody. It is 6:05 p.m. We're waiting for a sign language interpreter to join us via Zoom for one of our guests to help us out, but that interpreter is not going to be on until 6:15, okay, for that section. She's okay if we start the meeting, and hopefully she'll be on by that point, okay? So can I please have everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everybody. Okay. So first thing on the agenda is discussion and vote on allowing the Quabog Youth Baseball and Softball to have a toll road fundraiser in April. Is it April or March?
April.
April. Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, I did receive a request from Matt Jablonski that I forwarded. It should be in your packets this evening. It's their goal to have a toll road the end of March, early April, in the center of town, around the area of Masons and in the Citgo on a weekend. They wanted to check with the Board of Selectmen to see if they had any concerns or seeing if that was okay.
Okay. So they typically do this each year. We've always allowed it, never had any issues with it. It's never been a safety issue or anything like that. And we allow fire department to do it, and Chair does it too, I believe. And they all do the toll road, and they sit at the stoplights, and if somebody wants to donate some money for the program, they're able to do that. Have no problem with it at all. Do you guys have any questions about it?
No.
No?
No,
Any
sir.
questions?
No.
Did you have any concerns?
No, I will notify the chief I'll contact Matt back once he has an exact date, and if it's approved to move forward, to just have him forward me the exact date and time so I can forward that to the police department so they're well aware of this event happening.
Okay, great. Anybody from the public have any questions about it? On toll road? No? It's a voluntary thing. Nobody's mandated to do it, so.
Their thing here does say end of March, early April. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does the motion need a date? Do we want to even bother with a date?
I guess if you guys are okay with the concept,
Oh, we don't
then
even need a
We
motion.
can
Yeah.
allow for a motion to, say, March, April timeframe.
I told them to try to place it as close to April as possible. My only fear was if we got, God forbid, if we had the four-letter word snow, about 10 feet of snow, the corners will get narrower,
Yeah.
and people on the road, it could be a safety concern for that. So, absent of any snow, then I don't think there should be any
Well, we've
problem.
gotten snow in April too, you know,
Yeah,
so.
that's true. That's true.
It's happened. All right.
Okay, so, motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to allow the Quabog Youth Baseball and Softball to have a toll road fundraiser in the end of March or early April.
Second,
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously. There we go. All right. And then, well, she's here for Winthrop Terrace, right? So we'll just
You want to move to an?
move to agenda item 3 and do that. So we'll skip item 2 and we'll go to item 3 so we can have the interpreter on here. And that is review and request from the Board of Health, a request from the Board of Health to start Jessica Clark, candidate for administrative assistant to the Board of Health at a step 3, grade A1 on the wage scale, and a possible vote on that. Okay, sir, so what do you have on Mrs. Clark?
So, thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. The Board of Health and myself had reviewed several applicants. We do have the chair from the Board of Health here this evening, Mr. Don Makowski. We interviewed several candidates for the position, and there was an initial offer of acceptance from another candidate. Unfortunately, based on the qualifications and experience, we weren't able to make the money piece work for that candidate. So that particular person declined the position. And so therefore, the Board of Health went back out and interviewed some additional candidates, found that Ms. Clark had fit what they were looking for based on her qualifications and skills. Ms. Clark, as you will see in your packets, holds a bachelor's degree from Johnson & Wales University. She currently works as a veterinarian supervisor tech for the last 10 years at the same veterinarian office in Spencer. She resides in West Brookfield, and she has gotten some great reviews from some references that she had provided. So the board selected this person to move forward. They were comfortable with this person. They thought this person could do the job, and based on her skills and her qualification, was ultimately brought forward to the Board of Selectmen. In trying to bring this person to the town, there was a significant wage gap that this person is currently making, and I couldn't make that request happen. We can't make that request happen based on experience and skills. So we were able to negotiate a wage that we feel that would be acceptable based on criteria that she has and the experience that she has, and that is before you this evening. You'll also find in your packets a letter from the chairman of the board stating that we did interview all of these candidates, and based on her 10 years of experience as a supervisor at the same location. This is not going from job to job to job. This is stability at the same location, because we're looking for long-term people that want to make a commitment to the town. And based on her educational experience, this is what we're bringing forward, and this is the request that's before you this evening. This is historically has been kind of the same process we followed with recent new hires, that if they have educational background experience, if they have degrees, if they have certifications, and they're going to make a commitment to the town. Historically, the board has allowed for a bit of a step increase from the minimum. So that is before you this evening. I'm sure the chairman, Mr. Makowski, is here this evening to answer any questions that you may have. It was a pretty transparent process. We're really sad to see Brianna go, but Brianna has made a commitment to the town that she wants to make sure that this position is filled, and she's willing to help us out to get this filled, and she's hopeful. I just had a conversation with her today. She's hopeful that the board will select somebody, because as you know, this office has been dark since the end of December. So it's critically important that we get this position filled. I've been fielding calls, and which I'm happy to do, to try to get some of the residents' concerns answered about Title V, about quality of life issues, about anything that happens in the Board of Health. But we need to have this position filled, and we feel as though that this candidate will fill that void.
Okay.
Tony? Go ahead, sir.
How you doing, sir?
Good.
So you're making a recommendation in front of us today for this potential employee. Can you tell us why you come to that recommendation? Also identify who you are and what your position is with the town before you start. For Zoom, we have to, anything digital, we have to identify who we are and our position, so everybody knows that, okay?
Okay.
So,
I'm Tom Mikowski, Chairman, Board of Health.
okay, thank you, sir. So, why are you making the recommendation for this person?
Good help is hard to find these days. And this person fits the bill for what we believe is going to be a fine fit for her in this office, and to help the people of the town of Warren.
Okay. Right. Do you have any questions?
No?
Do you have any questions?
No, sir.
Okay. She got experience, she's done a lot, she has a bachelor's degree. Yeah. Do you wanna make a motion? You guys
Alright.
have no questions?
No? No, I don't. I'm good with what Don and Jim have done in the Board of Health. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll make a motion to hire Jessica Clark to work for the Board of Health Administrative Assistant at Step 3, Grade A1.
I second.
All in favor?
Richi Hacker, aye.
Derek Bellis, aye.
David Dufresne, aye. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, gentlemen, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, sir. Okay. Is Chairman?
No, I don't know who iPad is, but
That may be her.
Ask if she's,
who
what's
is,
the name?
well, you've got it
Oh, I'm sorry.
at the top there.
Is Miss Tracy Baptiste on yet? Are you on Zoom, ma'am? Tracy Baptiste, are you on? You're not muted anymore, no? All right. So, you gonna call her again?
I'm trying to follow her.
Somebody leaving?
Yeah. Charlene. Could try to email her.
Can you email her, Rich?
Yeah.
Hi Tracy, this is Jim Ferrera, Town Administrator, Town of Warren. We booked your services for this evening's meeting at 6:15. We are ready to go. If you have any questions, please give us a call back at 413-246-5506. Thanks.
Jill? Proper day.
What?
Did we schedule her for today?
It says March 2nd.
Yeah, 6:15, 6:45.
Or we can go to the senior center.
Yeah.
Before we do that, the idea is that this person looks at her.
Yes, and translate.
So what we're gonna
That's
have to do
fine.
is have her sit looking at us. I'm gonna block everybody and just focus the all into her. Otherwise, she's not gonna be able to see her.
Hmm?
There's no camera on the TV.
No.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I'm in Zoom,
Well, they don't need,
looking
they don't
at
need
it,
to see what she's saying. She just needs to see what the interpreter is saying.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
She
from the
needs to
TV.
be on the camera. No, there's no camera on the TV. See, she has to be on the camera of the old. So,
No, the interpreter doesn't need to see her.
okay.
She just needs to see the interpreter.
Well, how's it go the other way, though? If she
Because they
doesn't-
see us, and the interpreter hears us, does the sign,
Yes.
so you could see, so she can see it on the TV.
Right, but what if she asks a question? Is she
Then
gonna?
they have to see.
Then they would have to see her,
Yeah.
and
so
she would
she's
have to
gonna
turn and face,
the camera.
yeah.
Okay, that's. I
So
think
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just have her sitting there. I'm gonna block everybody from the old. Just look at her. So she will be the only one.
Well, that's if she has to ask a question
Yes.
at that point, we could do that.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm gonna practice.
Is she,
See, I'm driving it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Let's do it. That's fun. See, Rich? Rich,
she's not
I'm
coming
zooming at
on.
you.
We're trying to figure out where she's,
Oh,
I'm gonna zoom at me now.
oh, you're just changing the the exclusion zone, right?
So she's gonna be, where is she? Right there. She's gonna be.
apologize, everybody, we're just trying to figure out where the interpreter is. She was booked for a certain time and she's not logging on for some reason.
Very short-handed.
We have the same problem.
Do ya?
Very short-handed,
Yeah.
and cancel the last minute.
The last minute.
Do they?
They send an email and they say that the day of, we can't make it.
Well, we didn't get anything saying they canceled yet. And we got a phone number, so we're trying to call.
Goes to voicemail.
Just go to the senior center and then if she pops in, she's next, right? If we go to the senior center, so we don't waste time.
So. All right, we're gonna move on to the senior center, and I apologize, for everybody here for Winthrop Terrace. But we'll go to item 4, which is discussion with Senior Center Director Sharon Melly on the renting of the senior center for both public and private events.
Hi,
Hello, how are you doing tonight?
and how are you?
We got these.
I believe you already have one.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I've been working with my.
Identify who you are.
I'm sorry, I'm
please.
Sharon Melly, Senior Center Director
Thank you.
in Warren.
All right, thank you.
I've been working with my board as well as the town administrator on fixing policies, procedures, rental being one of them, or creating, as the case sometimes is. That is a rental agreement for not private use. That would be for civic or town recognized boards, committees. Give you a minute to read it.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
Are we, is this you gave us this to approve this?
Yes, yes, I need approval.
Now, who's
or
gonna ensure,
suggestions.
who's gonna ensure that the senior center is closed?
So, what we talked about, responsible person, so say if the library's there at night, it's typically, Warren Library, it would be Kim, don't know her last name. They
Okay.
come and get the key, or like Becky for the veterans, come and get the key, they're responsible for opening, closing, things that go on, and then they return the key in a timely fashion.
I have just small
Sure.
details, you
Yep,
know, like,
Absolutely.
if I go through it, on the first one it says signature or responsible person, I just put who's responsible. If somebody makes a little quick like we do when we sign, you're not gonna know who it is. Their contact information, probably more than the phone
that's
and
a good idea.
email.
Yep.
And then I will move up the fees and just list the fees instead of if applicable, because then it allows for coming back and forth. And then at the bottom, I'll put approved by, because if I'm filling this out, I'm gonna fill in approved by and say, who's approved it? Well, me, right? So just like a separate space, like this is town official or just a line so what people don't
So they don't keep going. Yep.
keep going. Then, yeah, I could even make it online for you if you like, once it's
That
approved.
would be wonderful.
So, I would also make a suggestion for this. If you've read some of our signatures, you can't read them.
Yeah.
So, make sure you print, have,
Print and then signature.
print,
And sign.
print name, and then sign. This way you know what the person's name is and who signed it.
Ask
For
everything
that.
from them, name, signature, email, phone, alternative phone, because if they disappear, you know, and you're not gonna do the work, they're gonna do the work.
Yeah. And typically they're boards, committees, and that we know, 'cause they're from town, so. But yes, I totally understand.
You know, and the approved by, maybe a name and a phone number or something, so
They can call.
they can call us, because I'm
Yeah,
assuming
you should have your phone number on that agreement.
Mhm.
So if there's in case of emergency, contact you.
Yeah.
So if they turn around and they find a gas leak and they're like, who do we call? Call Sharon. Well, I don't have her number.
Typically, when we do, they have my number as well as my custodian, or they have a few numbers, my board Kathy, someone who I know is gonna be around the night or day of. But yeah, we always give them a couple, just to be sure.
Okay. Yeah, I would put it on there just in case,
Mhm.
so they can't turn around and say, well, I didn't have her number. And, we had this gas leak, or we had this, whatever, and we didn't know who to contact.
Mhm.
If you clearly put it on there and say, contact, Sharon Melly at such and such number for emergencies.
Perfect.
This way they can't, there's no plausible deniability.
So
You have
this
any
is
questions?
not for private parties,
No.
right?
No. This is just civic, town, boards, committees.
You might want to put
Yeah.
that on here.
Yeah,
just
you
to make
said
sure.
both public and private events.
Is it in there, both public?
That's how it's been posted.
Oh, okay. I have a separate rental agreement for private.
Oh, so you have another one?
I have a separate one.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. So we don't have that one.
No, we went over that one. I can bring you that one if you want. That one hasn't really changed,
Okay.
but I can change it if you want.
Yeah.
This is new. We never had one for the town entities, so
Mhm. Okay.
that's why I said we're creating or revising, policies and procedures.
Did you get a hold of her?
Yeah, she should be logging in.
She's logging in now.
Soon.
She's coming on. Okay.
Sorry, last line, doing my spell checking. It's ECT, it should be ETC,
Oh,
et cetera.
sorry. I whipped this out in a hurry this afternoon.
Yeah.
We revised it this afternoon.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is, I've been working with Sharon on this along with some other issues, you know, for policies and trying to bring it, some stuff up to date. This is just a draft. We can
Yeah,
change it up a
yeah.
little bit. We just wanted to kind of get your feel for it. Sharon wanted to get your feel for it right now. You know, one of the recommendations that I had put forward is that the kitchen rental, right? We have a lot of equipment in there. We're gonna be putting a brand new dishwasher in there very soon. So there's a lot of stuff in there that if we have an outside private entity that wants to rent the hall and wants to do kitchen stuff, then number one, that person needs to be Serve Safe certified because they're preparing food in a municipal organization and then giving it out to the public. And number two, you know, there's liability there with our equipment, so we would need to verify insurance for this, you know, private entity. So if it's John Smith is having a birthday party down there and wants to rent it out, then he's gotta go get insurance, and then he's gotta get somebody Serve Safe, you know, certified. So, you know, after discussing this with Sharon, I said, you know, on the private stuff, probably should be better off not having the kitchen made available.
Okay.
Okay, here's our person. Coming
You wanna pin her?
No, that won't work. Oh.
If she puts her down?
in. Add pin.
Okay,
There you go.
she is not looking at you. No,
She's not gonna see you over here. So,
I'll step, I think we're.
What if we move the,
she is not looking at you. You have to see there. So sit here
and then how are we
and
gonna?
look at here, okay? So give me 1 second, I'm gonna get you in.
she can see her now.
Are you gonna focus on her?
Can you do that
No,
right now?
ma'am, focus on here.
Well, it's what she's
Okay.
trying to figure it out.
She can't see what
She
I'm
can't see.
saying.
Right, yeah.
What if we just move the, can we move that over?
The owl to face
No,
her.
it'll be fine. No, she has to look at here. Good now.
Can you turn your laptop to her?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do.
Maybe you put the laptop there so she can see?
No, I'm gonna remove this.
We're gonna
pin.
put the laptop over here.
Oh, I don't have a cord.
It wouldn't be easier to move the owl.
Well, I only got so much cord,
Oh.
power cord.
Go over here.
Yeah, that's about.
How much battery do you have?
None,
This
if you
is like-
disconnect that.
This is, I can hold it.
Ah, there.
Because it's heavy, it's not gonna.
Oh, you can move that more. Oh, that's just the electrical cord?
I can hold it, it's not a big deal.
Ah, extension cord.
All right, Rich.
Here we go. Now we can slide it.
Here, Jerry.
No,
It's good. Now, can she see us?
I don't.
yeah.
Can you read?
Yeah, cause we're on the other side of that.
What was her name again, Tracy?
Tracy.
Tracy, can you see us fine?
Is she muted?
I can't see. I could lock in.
Is she muted?
Look.
There you go. Can you
There you
hear
go.
me?
Now we can, thank you.
Yes, so, I can see you at the top, but, I mean, I can hear you, so I can interpret what you're saying.
Okay, just let us know if you have a hard time.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, do you have
So,
anything else for the senior center?
So, Mr. Chairman, we're in the process of just, cleaning this up a little bit and getting this request out, form finalized. There's also a fee schedule that you had drafted up that is,
It's 25, for Civic.
okay, so the private party rentals, is it still, are you recommending 50? Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's a separate one, but yeah.
Okay, private party rentals, they're recommending 150, and then civic functions, they were recommending 25, and forgetting about the kitchen, and obviously, town-sponsored clubs and organizations such as the veterans, the libraries, the cultural council, senior club, and the West Warren Water District, there would be no costs associated with that.
Okay.
Okay.
You have any questions?
So, the veterans, like their breakfast, they use the kitchen. So how does, because wouldn't they fall under this form where you can't use the kitchen?
We talked about that,
We did.
and it was brought to our attention that one of the persons that's involved in the veterans is ServSafe certified.
Okay.
And, it's they are considered a town group and a board, so, they would fall under the insurance umbrella of the town. So
Okay.
I don't,
I have my ServSafe, so in the event that it lapses or anything, I would be there. We would make sure someone was ServSafe.
All right.
The veterans will continue, don't
All right.
worry.
Yeah, we don't want to
Absolutely
stop the
not.
veterans from doing their dinners and stuff. They do a great job.
Absolutely.
And delicious.
Yes, very delicious.
Becky's a great cook.
Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Do you have any questions, sir?
No, I think it's all.
Do you
So
have anything else?
we're just gonna continue working on this. We're gonna clean up the fee schedule a little bit to make it a little bit more, easier to read, next time, a little smoother, and then we'll be back in front of the board again for final approval on this. We just kinda wanted to give you a little bit of an update. I know our senior center director has been working very hard with her board of directors.
The board is fabulous.
Yeah.
They do a great job.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm Kathy Duncan, I'm the chair of the COA.
Yep.
It was brought up, I think by you, that said that somebody from the Sharon had to be in the building at all times if there was somebody else in there. I don't understand why it just has to be her. I look at, if there's gonna be something that you want Sharon in the building for responsibility sake, most of the board, like I've been there 6 years, there's very little I don't know about the building. I don't understand why she has to give up her time when, like, we had a birthday party, Christmas party, and Katie and I went down and sat. The guy had been there for 20 years, and I was really embarrassed when I said to him, we're not leaving, because if you get rowdy, somebody has to throw you out.
Right.
And he laughed, his brother said, no, I'll help you. But this guy has been coming every year for over 20 years. And I just couldn't see, she had an engagement that weekend, so Katie and I said, we'll go, we'll sit. We didn't do anything. I mean, they brought in everything, they took out everything, they cleaned the place immaculate. I guess I'm just asking, why does it just have to be Sharon? When, if John Cook wants to sit, or John, our custodian, wants to sit, or one of us on the board wanna sit and be there, I mean, we're responsible, truthfully, I know, like I said, I've been there 6 years, and there's very little I don't know about the center.
Yeah, no, I think we agreed that Sharon's the primary, but if the board members wanted to step in and do that, that would be fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's what we agreed with,
My
so.
thing is
Yeah.
that she works Monday through Friday, okay, and it's been really hectic, it's been really crazy, and she looks forward to her weekends.
I'm sure everyone does.
She's got big time outside activities, you know, and the most of us are all retired and not doing anything, so.
So the thing we're not on board with was having the custodian manage the building and oversee the parties.
Yeah.
Because that's not what he or she is paid for. They're there to,
Right.
you know, do custodial work, and it's not fair to put that responsibility on them and not pay them for it, really, is what it comes down to, so.
Yeah, I mean, we volunteer, you know, I mean, that's, the whole board is a volunteer thing, and I don't mind giving up a day to, if somebody's, if you're coming in to have a party, first of all, I would hope that you would be responsible enough to take care of the facility. And,
But,
I mean, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have never, knock wood, ever had a problem. But I wanna stand up for her, because I don't want her to be the only one that can be in the building when she has plans for Saturday, and you want a party, and you want somebody there.
mhm.
So the board can sit.
Yep, Sharon
Yeah.
or the board.
All right, thank you.
We agreed to that last time when we talked about this, because we knew you had an engagement.
Yes,
And we
I
said,
did
yes,
email you.
if one of your board members wants
It had to
to,
be two.
to be there,
Two board members.
so they can be there and do that. Our concern was, especially with private parties, when you put it out like that, you don't really know the people that are renting the space, and just to let them rent the space and not having anybody there, and in case of emergency or if something happens, what if a pipe breaks or something, or again, somebody gets rowdy, what do? You know, the building could get damaged and we wouldn't know until you come in the next day. So, you know, it's just to protect everybody and to make sure that you guys have a good space and you keep it nice, like the seniors deserve, you know. That's all that is.
There's been a couple times where it's been unlocked too, it hasn't been
Yeah,
locked after.
the door
Yeah,
was found
that when
unlocked.
we had put in a new lock in the back, the kitchen door, it's a kitchen
It's-
door.
Okay.
It used to, it was always locked, you couldn't really unlock it, when you shut the door, it was locked. Then it broke, somebody broke a key off in it or something, it was broken. This is a while ago, and we put a new doorknob on, well, this one unlocked, so, and the cook at the time didn't know, or people bringing the trash out. When you open the door, even though you locked it, once you turn the handle, it unlocked again. So once it was brought to my attention, we figured it out, and that's been fixed, so.
Okay.
It's the last thing we check when we leave, is that back kitchen door, is it locked? So, yes.
Has BJ gone and done her building inspection there yet?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, all right. Is she gonna be getting to it soon?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, because we have the building commissioner going around doing inspection of all the town buildings, to see what the deficiencies are and what needs to be repaired inside the buildings, and making sure everything's up to code. So, if you guys have concerns or anything like that, let us know, so we can get these things fixed. You know, senior center is an important building to the community too, and we wanna make sure you guys have a good building, but you need to talk to us and let Mr. Ferrara know that
We've
you
been
need
talking.
repairs.
Yes,
Okay,
we
all right, you got a list?
He's aware.
Yes, yep.
All right,
Mhm.
so, let's,
Nothing fancy, but, you know,
okay. Because again, we wanna make sure we
Mhm.
get things fixed there.
Yep.
All right. All right, anything else?
No?
No? And you're gonna revise this,
and we'll see you again.
add, print the name in there so we know who's signing. Because I could tell you right now, if Rich signed it,
I with,
You'd never
oh yeah, I have a
His
doctor's signature.
two dots.
And once you have it all done and finished, I'll be happy to make you the digital version so you can have it digital.
Thank you, that would be wonderful.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Sharon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna go back to item number 2 on the agenda, which are residents of Winthrop Terrace asked to be on the agenda concerning the Housing Authority. Okay. Do we have somebody that's gonna speak for you guys tonight?
Yep.
So what's the concern, ma'am?
Well, I'm not the one that requested to be on the agenda. She did.
Okay,
So we have, what is,
Tracy?
Tracy?
No.
Sherry.
Sherry.
Sherry Hostovsky?
Sherry,
Okay.
yep.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay, you're Tracy, right?
So I'm the interpreter. My
Yep.
name is Tracy, but
Eh,
Sherry is
Sherry.
the person that's speaking.
Okay. So Sherry, what's your concern?
Okay, well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for getting an interpreter. That was very impressive. That was great. That woman, I don't know how, she's like, oh, I don't know how to get an interpreter. So I wrote down and explained how she could do that. And, you call the Mass Commission for the Deaf and Hard of Hearing. So it seems like without a problem, they were able to get an interpreter. So that's great.
Thank you.
So I know the people that are here, we can't discuss things in depth right now. I just feel like I need, not now do I need to discuss things, but there are other agencies that have had interpreting issues. They've never provided interpreters. And here's the first time I have one. So it seems that I know that the rules say you're not allowed. I just want to say thank you for providing the interpreter. I'm thrilled that they're there, and that's great. Thank you.
Okay. What is the concern with the Winthrop Terrace?
So can I talk about it with folks that are here? I can discuss that right now.
Yes,
I don't know if there was an issue, if you can or you can't.
yes.
Oh, I can.
We don't know what's going on, so.
And just have her address the board as opposed to someone in the audience.
Okay, so, okay. I'll keep it brief. Of course, I'll talk directly to the board, so that's what you meant. Okay, I thought it meant that you couldn't discuss if someone else is in the room. I misunderstood that. Okay, I understand now. So I've been there since 2016, so it's almost 7 years. Soon it will be 7 years. And I've never needed an interpreter for the WHA. So the Winthrop Housing Authority, the WHA, yeah. So I know that before we've used video phones, interpreters through a video phone, for any issues that came up. That's what we would do. That's how we would use to have an interpreter. And then that was 20, and then July 21, that's when so the rental organization, she's gotta come close so I can see you better. Yeah, it was too far, I knew. So, okay, so the rental organization, they started to that was set up in July 21. And then, they were having monthly meetings, and I thought I was really interested. I thought I'd like to join because I live there. And then, so I met the person who's running those meetings. And I said, I'd like to have an interpreter. And they said, no, not that me. It's not me. It's not my responsibility. You have to talk to this other person and I said, okay. So I thought that was separate. I thought there was the rental organization. And I said, but anyway, that's fine. I called the other person to request an interpreter and let them know. They told me, and they said, no, you have to talk, LTO. Yeah. So I basically, each one was saying you need to talk to the other one. And they were each saying it's not my responsibility, and they were pointing fingers at the other one. So it just felt like I wasn't getting, I should be able to go to the meeting and have accessibility to the meeting. So that was the issue. So then I noticed the monthly postings. There was an agenda related to rent, related to the board meeting. So that's how I knew about their board meetings. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known, because I was, since this is public, I'd be interested in joining, but I really didn't know what was going on. And then someone said, again, I said I didn't need an interpreter to join. And then, so I did say I wanted an interpreter for a specific meeting. I went to that rental office. There was Kathy was there. She was the assistant, and I was explaining, I have to call you have to call the commission for the deaf and hard hearing to request an interpreter. I said the meeting is posted, and it was only 2 days before the meeting that I guess the request went out 2 days before the meeting, but that was too late. Really, the Mass Commission requires at least 2 weeks to be able to find an interpreter beforehand, and not 2 days before. That's actually too late. So that was last month. It was in February. And so I went to the WHO office, and I talked with another person. I said, I was surprised there was somebody else there. And they were saying, hi, how are you? And I decided to just talk directly to the person who actually runs the meeting. And I said, I really wanted an interpreter for the meeting. And so that person's, hold on one second. So it actually was LCO's responsibility to get an interpreter. So it said you have to wait till the thing is posted and the notice is there, and then you see it's available, and then that only happens 2 days before the meeting. And I'm like, well, that is always going to be too late, because you have to, and we were writing back and forth to communicate, but I said you really need to call the commission two weeks before at least. So that was February 2nd that I wanted to go. So I think that's when they called to get the interpreter. And then this was like the end, when the meeting was going to be. And I was like, so when it was posted again, I finally called the commission to the deaf and hard of hearing, and I said, they said, they sent a request to the interpreter. And the commission said that they never received a request for them. So I ended up saying, why didn't you request an interpreter? After I asked, they said, I didn't know that I had to do that, or I didn't. Yeah, it was very confusing. And this has been 1.5 years that I've been asking for an interpreter for meetings, and they haven't been provided. So and then I found they found something they said, we found somebody who signed, but it was someone who hasn't signed for like 35 years or something. So I'm like, no, that's not a certified interpreter. That is not, you need to get a certified professional interpreter. So there was one agenda meeting, so it was like 2 months ago. One agenda, it was a few months ago, yeah, it was something about, we were talking about. In that meeting, it said that the issue of the interpreter was actually on the agenda, and they decided they were going to talk about the interpreters. That was an agenda item, but yet I wouldn't have an interpreter to be there, so I wouldn't be able to be there. So that's clearly discrimination, not provide an interpreter. And I don't know what the issue is. They had the number, they know what to do, but so really I've just tried to be patient long time, and I understand that maybe people don't know, and maybe I'm the first deaf person here, so people aren't familiar with the process. But at this point, then I just have gotten rather fed up. It's been going on too long, and it's just, that person ended up calling the police on me. This was 2 weeks ago. So that was like, what's going on? And so, hold on 1 second. So I decided that basically it wasn't really safe to be around there, but because then the police were, we're trying to you're supposed to get a report. But I said, really, I just didn't feel safe. And then there were 2 different places, the MOD, Massachusetts Office of Disability, and then that's when, so they need to really know that basically for any deaf or hard of hearing person that wants to attend these meetings, and needs a communication access, that it must be required. That is, they're basically the office that handles discriminatory issues in the state. So it's just been, it's not just me. Other people have been stressfully too. It's like, I just feel like it's been a very stressful situation. So there are 2 more things. In terms of the book, the LTO, they talk about, it's every month we talk about the rights, our rights as a resident. And something in that said, under rights and responsibilities. So it shows right here, it talks about rights and responsibility, but they're the ones that basically, didn't provide an interpreter, so I didn't have that right to participate. So, and I also feel like this was a violation of confidentiality, which is another tenet. So really, my point is, an interpreter hasn't been provided, and, I feel like, okay, I see that, everyone's here, it's clearly, I feel like we missed a half hour because we didn't have the interpreter, but, it's really important for me to have an interpreter so I know what's going on. So that's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming to us tonight. People with disabilities is very important to us, and we understand you have the same rights as every other resident in our community, and you have the right to have access to our meetings and understand what we're saying also. And as you can see, it's very important. Mr. Farrar arranged for the interpreter to make sure that it happened, and wasn't an easy task.
1 second. Oh, okay, she got the spelling of the name. I missed the person's name. Farrar? Oh, I know who it is, she's saying. Okay, go.
Yeah.
You can go, keep going. So, the Board of Public Meetings, are you aware about that?
I'm very aware about the Americans with Disabilities Act, and that it's actually the law to provide these things and interpretive services.
They're running a Board of Public Meeting. It's a monthly thing. WHO is doing that. Do you know about that?
She's talking about the board meetings of
The Board of Health?
the Board of Housing Authority Board.
Oh, yeah, Housing Authority.
So that's that is a separate organization
Yeah,
from the town. Separate organization from the town. That is.
Oh, I didn't realize it was separate.
They are regulated by state agencies and federal agencies. The Board of Selectmen only appoints 1 person to that board. The rest of the board is either elected or appointed by the governor.
But it's the same people that run that meeting or the same people that are here, is that right?
It's their board. It's a private board that we only have one appointment on there. The rest of the board is either elected or appointed by the governor.
So that board would run the meeting.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, I didn't understand that. Okay.
Yeah, we have no authority over that board. They're a separate entity.
So obviously, we value.
So who,
Go ahead.
so who is it supposed to provide interpreters then? Who is supposed to, whose responsibility is that?
So I would make the claim to the board of the Warren Housing Authority. They have their own policies and procedures. If you don't feel as though that your claim is being followed through, then you can appeal that to the state and federal agencies that regulate the Warren Housing Authority, such as the DHCD, which is the Division of Housing and Community Development, or the federal agency.
I already sent an email to them
Okay.
to report them to that, and I did do that already, but I didn't get a response.
So, are you ready to, would you like to respond?
I was the director,
Okay, just identify who you are.
Nancy Brown, right now I am the interim director. I was the director for 30 years at the Warren Housing. Sherry has come to me before without an interpreter, and I can speak to her and she reads my lips. She said that she wanted an interpreter for the LTO, the tenants, not the board meeting, which was fine. I talked to the person there. I've submitted a couple of them. People, they've canceled because you don't have a lot of people. That's what Jetta told me, Jette. She told me they don't have a lot of people.
So
Oh,
I'm
can you
sorry, I
come
couldn't
forward so she can hear you too? You're gonna speak up a little more so the interpreter can hear and translate it, please.
Start from the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay, I'm Nancy Brown. I was the director at the Warren Housing for 30 years. She came to me and told me she wanted an interpreter for the LTO, which is the tenants organization, not the board meetings, because the board meetings have nothing to do with tenants. It's policies and stuff like that. So I did try a couple of times to get it. I was gone because I was supposed to be retired. To get a couple, and they canceled, or she didn't show. So, and I talked to Jetta, Jetti, this morning, no, yesterday, and she told me I submitted the whole thing for her to come to the meeting, and I got a note, canceled. They didn't have anybody to come.
Okay.
I can't make them have people,
Are
they're
you-
very short-handed.
Are your board meetings public meetings?
Yes, yes.
Okay,
But she
so,
didn't want that. She wanted to be, to do with the tenants, not the board. The board makes policies and things like that. But yes, she did that.
okay.
She's saying, but I didn't know that. I didn't know about the board too.
Okay. So maybe there's just
And you submitted online.
an issue.
I don't know if you did that.
Yes, it was submitted online.
Okay, I submitted
Hold
it
on one
online
second.
also.
Hold on.
I'm missing that because people can interpret one at a time.
Look what I submitted it online. I got the things yesterday when the board meeting was supposed to be, that they canceled. I can't do anything more than that.
Okay.
I mean, we don't have Zoom like this because we have somebody that we Zoom already with somebody in Florida. So, and they never said we could use Zoom, so I have no idea. But
Do you need help with establishing something like this?
no.
Would you like to have your meetings here?
The LTO,
so you can
she's
use
talking
this?
about the LTO meeting though, not my meeting, right?
The Barbara Kate, the LTO is the Tenants Association.
Right. LTO.
And I'm president of the Tenants Association as well as chairman of the Board of Commissioners.
Okay.
And-
Just identify who you are
Oh.
before you speak, so we know.
Okay, Mary Ann Petruski.
Yep.
I'm chair to the Board of Commissioners as well as the president of the Winthrop Terrace Tenants Organization. Sherry mentioned July. Back in July of 2021 is when we started to try and establish an LTO. It's a difficult process. A lot of housing authorities are a bit resistant. She was resistant. And so we did not get recognized until October. We had gatherings. They weren't really official meetings because we weren't recognized yet, but we had gatherings. Sherry expressed an interest to me, asked me for my cell number. I gave it to her. We communicated. She wanted a copy of our bylaws, which were not ready yet. We had to have a meeting, which I invited her to, and said I would give her a draft of the bylaws, because the bylaws needed to be voted on. We were gonna be changing them. It was just like a template. If she wanted to come to the gathering, it was outside. She said she couldn't make it, that she had mixed up dates. I have text messages from her that state that. And then the day before, the morning of the meeting, she texted me and said, I still want a copy of that. And I said, that's not the bylaws, I can't put that out there. The tenants have to get together and we have to discuss them. And so if you don't wanna come, if you can't come, we still have to do that. We have to put all of these things in order to present to the housing authority to become recognized. She was upset, because I wouldn't give her that draft, and then sent me a text message and said, I'm over it, good luck and goodbye. And I never heard from her again until just recently. And there was a bit of confusion. The local tenants organization, or we call ourselves the Winthrop Terrace Tenants Organization, we get our funding from the Warren Housing Authority. We get a very small budget of $500 for the year, and we have to use that for all of our staples and things. And so to hire an interpreter and have it come out of our budget, within 2 meetings, we would be bankrupt. So her and I kind of went back and forth, and so I stopped having LTO meetings, because I did not want to do anything to prevent Sherry from being able to be involved. So we didn't have any more meetings for several months, which made some of the tenants quite angry, but we didn't have them until this situation with the money could be resolved. It was then resolved by Mass Narrow. Donna Brown Rago said, it's not, you get your funding from the housing authority, it's the housing authority's responsibility. Once that was determined, Nancy was very willing to do that. And there were interpreters for Sherry, but she stated she didn't want them for board meetings. She only wanted them for LTO meetings. We set up some, and I have at home, I have emails where we contact Jetta, and we set them up, and then Sherry canceled, or they canceled. And they've done it the day of. They say they're very short-staffed, it's very hard to do. We did not try to book them 2 days before the meeting. I myself went into the office and gave Kathy 3-week notice in advance. I wasn't the one booking them. The housing authority was booking them because they had to pay for them. So I would go in there 3 weeks in advance, the beginning of the month. We usually had our meetings when we had them at the end of the month to give them a lot of time to do this. And even doing it like that, they still would cancel at the last minute. They said that they can book, but they're short-staffed, and it doesn't always work the way you're supposed to.
Out in the boondocks. They come from Boston.
Right, and it's very hard. They try very hard to get
Yes.
people from the area, and I tried. I called the school. I called the Framingham School for the Deaf in Framingham, Mass. I tried everywhere to see if we could facilitate somebody locally. I even asked if we could do something like this. And one of the things that, now I'm gonna take off my LTO hat, I'm gonna put on my Board of Commissioner hat, is I now have worked with the board under their vote and approval that we're gonna use the laundry money, that wonderful laundry money. We're entitled to 50% of it, and we're gonna buy one of those. And we're gonna hook it up to cable. As you know, I came to see you not too long ago when we
did.
lost our cable. I still would like to talk to you about that senior discount if you were able to work that out. And so what I wanna do is hire and have painters to come in. We have been sitting on the same furniture for 30 years. It's time that the community room looks inviting and welcoming. So that is in the works. And so we're hoping that we can have something like this set up, and if we can steal him to help us connect it, that would be even better. But that is a goal, that is coming, and I'm hoping by spring, we've already talked to the contractor, the painter, to come in. We're waiting to get a bid from him, and that's what we're going to try and do. But if Sherry wants an interpreter for the LTO meetings, I will make sure that happens. I will make sure, I'm the one that schedules the meetings. I will go into the office, as I have routinely, when she has said she wanted to come. The thing that happens is, the times that we've set them up, that they didn't cancel, Sherry canceled. And it cost quite a bit of money to do. So the one thing that we talked about with Jetta was having a commitment from her, so that she would give us a cancellation time enough in advance so that we wouldn't get charged. So, it's a work in progress. We're trying to get it right, and certainly we feel as a board and as a tenant organization, just as passionate about people with disabilities, because most of us have them.
Could I respond to that?
Sure.
Yes.
So I did ask her, I said, do you mind, it wasn't the bylaws, I know the bylaws weren't ready, but I wanted to know what was being said in the meetings, because I didn't have an interpreter. And that's what kept going on every month. So I just really wanted to know, like, what was happening in the meetings, so like, you know, I would have an understanding. It wasn't really the bylaws. You know, I understand that's a very long process to get bylaws, you know, the final draft. So that's what I was talking about, that it, could I at least, I
One
just
second,
wanted to
ma'am.
correct that, because I was asked, that's what I was asking, was like a summary of what's happening in the meetings. And I did text you recently, and I realized I still had Mary. Mary Ann.
That's me.
So I could tell by the communication that, I was blocked after that. I think this was like in, you know, I think this is the incident that involved the police. I just remember, you know, when the person said they're gonna call the police, I was like, you know, I'm just, you know, I can't be involved with that person anymore. It just didn't, obviously that person doesn't feel like a safe person to me now. So, yeah, so there is a police report about that, I guess. But anyway, that's between us. So I said, you know, really, I was going to the office because I wanted to talk with Nancy, but that's when I realized, you know, I thought maybe I can just talk with Nancy, as I've always done, just go and, you know, talk with her. And then she tended to do that, and then feed my dog treats. She was always very sweet and very loving to my dog. But then, after that interaction, I was like, I was saying what I'd like to talk with Nancy, and I got, I just got the response no, and it did feel like it wasn't safe at that point, and then at that point, I feel like, it just felt like I didn't want the trouble and I didn't want to be involved, so I think that's it. It's like, this has been like going on a year and a half actually, and nothing has really happened. Yeah, and I haven't had interpreters at all for a year and a half. That's really a long time, so. But this is the first time, here we are, and then we do have an interpreter, so it was upsetting, just to let you know, and has been very stressful as well.
I'm sorry that it was stressful for you, and I can understand having a disability where it would be difficult at times, and I apologize for that. Did you have a response?
Thank you.
Yes, I did. First of all, the WTTO has an email address, which I have given out, and it's in the book. We also have a phone number with an answering machine. People don't need to call my private cell phone number. People tend to think that they can call me on a Sunday, and I'm just supposed to drop everything. And I'm a tenant too.
Who's talking?
And Mary Ann. And so we set up, I have an office, so if anybody wants to leave anything for the office, they can. I have an answering machine and a telephone, and I have an email address. There are many ways that I can be.
Well, which office is this that you're talking about?
This is for the LTO, the Local Tenants Organization,
The
okay?
LTO office where?
It's right in the community room.
No, you don't
Oh,
go
no.
to that office all the time.
I always used, that isn't the office I used to go to all the time. That's why I felt like it was a violation of my privacy, because, I wanted, I had brought in something for Nancy to help her, and I just, everyone just seemed to be so upset. So it wasn't the community office, it was Nancy's office, so that's what happened with the police. That's the door where I felt like that's the WHO office, not the community. I've never seen anyone there.
That's not what I was trying to say. I was trying to say that when she said I blocked her, I'm saying that people shouldn't have my private cell phone number. Now that we have a telephone in the WTTO's office, and we have an email account, an email address, that's how they should communicate with the WTTO.
Okay.
And that's what I was trying to say. The incident did happen in in Nancy's office. However, there were witnesses, and it's very different from the way Sherry is describing it.
Okay, I understand you all have different concerns, and it seems like you guys are trying to do your best to give assistance, because you do realize it's the law, and you have to provide it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so if there's a public meeting, you have to offer the public meeting equally to individuals with disabilities, as any other resident. And you guys are more well aware of it than anybody else, because again, where you live and work gets a lot of your residents. There's not much we can do, because we don't govern over you. You're a separate entity. We appoint one member onto your board, okay? And that's pretty much limited on what we could do, other than you're all residents of our town, which we are very concerned about, because we want all our residents to be happy in our community. And we want to afford all opportunities to all our residents. And it seems like there's a little bit of a communication error going back and forth between you guys. And I think trying to clear that up and maybe patience, because I could understand where it would be frustrating sometimes dealing with some people and having disabilities because we don't understand. I don't understand sign language, so I wouldn't be able to communicate effectively with somebody with a disability like that. But we also have to afford them the opportunity to be able to understand everything we're saying. And it seems like you guys are trying to do that, but if we can work a little better and be a little more patient with each other. And I know you guys are loving people and patient and, you know, or at least I pray that you all are. And we all want to get along and enjoy our community together as residents of Warren, because we have a beautiful community and it has lots of opportunities. And if there's any way we can afford you guys some way of helping you get the technology you need to be able to help with this, you know, I'm sure we can help in some way. You know, I know Mr. Belize, he's a technical guru. He set us up with the owl, and
He will be called. Oh, yes.
maybe work with him so you can
absolutely.
have the technology to make it easier via Zoom for them, for Sherry. You know, because sometimes if an interpreter can't make it all the way here from Boston, it would probably be very accessible via Zoom.
Right.
Yes.
That's
And this is
Less
working out,
expensive.
once we worked out the bugs here a little bit, it seemed like
Yeah,
we got a good communication going on here.
Yep.
That's true.
And if we can do something like that to help you out,
That would be great.
you
That
know,
would be wonderful,
that's,
thank you.
we're more than willing to do that.
Thank you.
We'll
Um,
call on all of you, don't worry.
and that's what we're here for. We want everybody to be happy and do the best we can here, okay? Sir, you have a question in the back?
I would like to comment for Sherry, so she wouldn't get upset.
Can you just say who you are?
Yeah, Tim by So,
Just,
I-
we
I'm
want to
sorry, I
be,
can't hear very well.
we want to make sure that we're respectful to all our citizens.
Take the mask
just to set Sherry at ease about police coming up to
And
her
who
or whatever.
who are you and what's your,
I live in.
so you're a resident of Winthrop Terrace?
Yes.
Give them your name.
And
You'd have your name for the record, sir, please.
Tim Bush.
Okay.
So I just wanted Sherry to know that my neighbor called the police on me 8 times in 3 months. One time was she didn't like my doormat.
Okay,
Another
sir,
time,
sir,
I
does
just
this
wanted
have
to
anything
relax.
related to
Well,
this?
yeah, I want her to understand that that's not an issue. It happens quite a bit up there. You know, the other time was because I was taking too long to get inside my door. Okay.
So I'm not the only one then, I see.
Right. It's just a thing that goes on occasionally with some people. You learn to live with it. It's not a big deal. The other thing is, we have bulletin boards at each building.
No, I don't think that's something that we have to learn, we should learn to live with. I don't think it's acceptable.
Well, you don't really have a choice.
So, we're not gonna get into resident disputes.
No,
That's,
this is
that's
about
for the
the-
board.
Right, this is about the tenants. I'm just trying to update you. So, we have that tenants association, what is it, T what?
Winthrop Terrace, WTTO.
Okay, each building has a bulletin board, okay? And it should be posted on there when they're supposed to have meetings or any updates. Right now, I guess, as far as I know, it's only in the community room, but not everybody goes down to the community room, okay? Not everybody knows how to do email or go on the website. And I think every tenant should have the right to know when the meetings are, where they are, and the time. So that's all I wanna say about that, just to let them know that there are people that, you know, don't go to the community room and have not aware of what's going on in the complex. You just said you wanted everybody to know what's happening.
He's just admitting somebody in.
Yeah, so if you want everyone to participate, they have to know, they need information. So I don't know why they won't post it. I've heard a couple of stories, but I think they should be posted at each bulletin board. How many buildings do we have, Nancy? 5 buildings, I don't think is gonna take that long to post.
I'm sorry.
And that way, everybody, there's 4 units in each building.
So, sir, I understand that, and I think that's something that you should be bringing to your board, and talk to them about.
Well, how can I know when the board meeting is when they don't post it?
Well, I'm pretty sure all they gotta do is post it in a public space.
That's not doing everybody that's in that complex any good, that's what I'm trying to relate to.
Could it be put on the local channel 12?
Not everybody has cable anymore.
I'm sorry, I missed the comment from the audience.
They asked if it could be posted on, the local channel 12, the meetings.
And it could, yes.
Yes, it can be.
Right, but since you know they lost the cable and you kinda gave a pitch for somebody to come in and see if they would donate, a lot of the people don't have cable probably.
Okay.
I'm just trying to put a little harmony in something, as you said, there's miscommunication.
Yeah.
And you're 100% right, okay? So if you care about the citizens,
I do.
all your citizens, as you state, then, you know, you gotta make it so everybody knows.
Right.
Okay, that's all I wanted to say.
Travis, you had a comment about that?
I was gonna say, we can post the meetings, that shouldn't be an issue. You know, once I get notified about them, I can put them out there.
That's Travis Baker. He's,
We know him well.
And he's saying he can't post the meetings, where is he talking about on that?
on WCAT 12, the local access network. So,
I want to address what Tim said. We did post the meetings.
Yeah, they do.
On every bulletin board in every building, and probably the reason why Tim never saw his is because, and I won't use her name, she's moved away, but she didn't like it and complained to the office and took them off every time we put them on. We also have our own bulletin board where they've been removed from there. So I had to have a friend of mine make a cover for it with a padlock, so I can put stuff in it and lock it and nobody can remove it. So there's a little bit of problems there, but we have. It's just that some of the tenants don't like the stuff on the bulletin boards.
Well, that was me, I took it down because there was no interpreter, so that was me.
Yeah, I know.
I found it on the
We know.
table after the meeting and destroyed it.
Yeah,
okay,
I think we're good.
so you shouldn't be removing the meetings from the boards.
We all behave, you all right.
All right, we all gotta live together, and that takes away from other people being able to see the meetings posted. You're working towards
We are.
providing interpretive services,
We are.
okay? You're gonna try to work on your technology
We are.
to expand that, okay? So you have better access to interpreters, okay? Again, all we can do is talk about recommendations here. We can't direct you guys to do anything, but it's in your best interest to provide what you can for assistance for her.
We tried.
Okay.
I, you know, basically, I feel like I can't join the meeting because I don't feel safe about with that person. You know, this is an incident with the police being called, and that really hasn't been resolved yet. So I need to wait, actually. So I'm not gonna be joining the meetings until that police, that the whole thing is resolved. So
Is,
that's what has to go, that's all on hold until that issue is resolved.
is there a no contact order or restraining order?
Yes, there is.
Not a restraining order, but a no trespass order that was served on Sherry for coming to the office by our attorneys, yes.
Okay. So you would need to resolve that, before,
Right, I understand,
before.
that has to be resolved
Yep.
first.
Yep.
Correct.
So I would suggest doing Zoom if you can to provide access. So this way she still has the ability to see the meetings and she's not violating a no contact order. She can still watch.
But we don't have that yet. Right.
You
Yeah,
can
but
do
when
it
you
on the
get it.
laptop. Yeah,
Okay.
and.
So we're gonna help you with that.
Okay, great. One of the things is that there has been a lot of discord. I'm gonna be straight with you. It's a
So-
pretty volatile, there's a pretty volatile situation. So it's not gonna be an issue because there have been so many threats of violence if we have an LTO meeting that we're not having them. Under
Okay.
our bylaws, we only have to have 2 a year.
Okay.
And we're in compliance. So we're gonna try to work on better communication, bring all the negativity and the hostility down a notch. And then when we feel that everyone's gonna be safe to come, we'll start having our meetings again. They'll be posted on all the bulletin boards, and hopefully maybe by then you guys will have helped us with this. Because I'll tell you, there's enough money in the budget now, in the laundry money, to buy one of those and hook it all up. We may not have new furniture and the painting and everything, but we certainly can get that
But they're gonna
sooner than
be-
later.
They're going to close caption channel 12,
Yes.
so you can watch,
Yes,
watch them.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that will be available that way too.
yeah.
So again, you know, I'm sure Travis Baker, he'll be more willing to help you also. Mr. Belize, and you could call any of us, Mr. Ferrara. We will help you any way we can to resolve this issue. We just want all the residents to get along up there. And I know, I have neighbors too. And you don't always get along with every neighbor, but they have a right to be there also. So, and we gotta respect that, and we gotta respect their issues too. So, you know, we're gonna do our best to assist you in any way we can, and we're gonna try to assist Sherry in any way we can also, with that, and she's more than welcome to attend our meetings too. You know, again, just let us know, and we'll make sure we have an interpreter here for you. Okay? Yeah, namaste. Peace be with everybody. All right. Do you have anything else? Okay. Sherry, do you have anything else, ma'am?
I'm all set, thank you. I
Do
appreciate it.
you have any
Thank you.
questions, Ms.
No,
Hacker?
no, I don't. I'll just say thank you to Tracy for,
I have a
interpreting.
question. Is it more easier to get her by Zoom than it was as I submitted? I don't remember. Jim, was it easier to get it in this?
Zoom is,
They don't wanna come, it's too far.
Yeah, I would
yeah,
think
Zoom
it's
is easier
So
to
this
do.
is,
Okay,
this is
Hold on one second.
Tracy,
Sure.
the interpreter
Yes.
speaking.
yes, Tracy.
This is, I think first of all, just to let you know, the meeting before that was canceled was because the interpreter became sick with COVID.
Oh.
So I think that was one of the problems, I know that. And then this one, I'm sorry I was late, but there was a miscommunication. I didn't realize I was booked for this meeting. So, and it's only because the commission has a new system right now to book people, and you can't easily see what you're booked for. So I'm sure it could be my fault. I accept that, but I want to let you know that's rare. Interpreters tend to be on time always. But it's a lot easier to get Zoom than in person. That's true. If you have the tech. And if Sherry, is it acceptable for you to have Zoom interpreter? It's better in person. she's saying, yeah, she prefers in person. It's always better, the communication is better, you can see the facial expression both ways. The interpreter can understand Sherry better too. So in person's best, but
Zoom is acceptable.
An hour all about this, and she said.
if it's the only option, yes, that's acceptable as well.
Okay, all right. Again,
Okay.
trying to accommodate and trying to do our best here. Okay. Did you have a question, Mr. Belize?
Does,
Wait.
does Cheryl has access to a phone or a computer?
Both.
Sorry, who's speaking?
Mr. Belize?
This is Derek, one of the Board of Selectmen.
So you're asking if she has access to a computer?
She got
Yes.
your place. I can scan, I know.
I have laptop, yeah.
I have a laptop, yes, I do.
So I'm,
I use that regularly, yes, yes.
so I'm gonna give you three options.
And I do use this platform Zoom for interpreted meetings. I do use it pretty often, yes.
I'll give you three immediately options. Being the first one, if you have a meeting, I can show you this, of course, how to do later. Just record it on YouTube on any free account and save it. That way, YouTube will put the all the text that's been spoken at the meeting, and she can read that later
Okay.
if she misses a meeting.
No, that's actually, she's saying that's actually not sufficient. That doesn't really
But
work
it-
very well.
At least if she misses
Yeah.
a meeting, she will know what happened.
I can't.
The words always don't coincide.
All right, but there's no captions. I checked YouTube myself, and I looked for the sign, and I turned it on.
I'll show you how to do that so she can have it.
And Zoom has closed captioning.
The
now.
second one is is to have it as like we have it right now,
Yes.
and we can go.
Yeah.
100% with a
I can't look at it
system like
tonight.
this.
I'm actually pretty tired, and I have to go home, but I'm really exhausted.
So we
It's
will
been a
help
long
you.
day.
Okay.
Okay.
But another time.
Thank you.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great. Did you have anything, Mr. Rowe?
No, I just would also, I know the Board of Selectmen have, we've talked about this at a previous meeting, but the state is going to be requiring all of the public meetings to have closed captioning and to have these services made available for the future. So it's not just governmental, any public meeting. So this is going to be, it's an unfunded mandate by the state, but it is coming.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you have anything else?
Isn't that enough?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, thank you.
And again, you can meet here in the meanwhile,
Yeah, if you need to do something sooner than later.
if you need to do something.
So many people don't have cars or anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just offering options.
Do you serve lunch?
Unfortunately, we don't. Sir, you had one more question?
Oh, one more comment. So during the last board meeting, it was brought up that we have that road, goes in and you turn around and come back out. And we had quite a few speedsters there. And they agreed that they were gonna look into something to.
I did, I spoke to the chief, and we have a plan in place, and we're having a meeting on Wednesday, and a board meeting, and it will be discussed. It's a special emergency meeting, but I am gonna inform everyone as to what the chief told us.
And again, make sure.
Yep.
All right. So answer your question?
I was actually gonna ask if the chief could put a car up there once in a while, you know, just park it on the road.
Well, your board's working on it.
Well,
Is that
again, I wasn't
your
aware.
property?
Yeah.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
well, it's state property, that's what the
Oh.
chief said, and he's just being preemptive. He would have fought that out on Wednesday. That's what the chief said. We were looking into getting the speed limit signs as well. The ones that the town has, that's when you may slow down
Yeah.
and it says, "Thank you, Warren." We're gonna negotiate and work with the company that he is, to see if we can get one, because the speed limit up there is 10 miles an hour, and the chief had said to me, There is no such 10 miles an hour anywhere in the state, so it's got to be private. It's even 25 miles an hour they have to fight for to get that done.
Really?
So it's 30, 35, and obviously more. So,
Going on, all right.
so,
Thank you.
but we're looking into that.
Okay,
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Been fun.
Okay, so they're resolving the situation. Again, that's something you should be dealing with them and the board. We have nothing to do with that. Again, you guys are working with the police chief, so you're resolving that.
We are.
All right.
Best
We're trying.
selectman, best selectman ever so far. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
He said so far.
We're trying.
You're being watched.
We're always being watched. We're always on TV, we're on Zoom, we're on the internet,
You know what?
and we can only please so many.
So are we.
Yeah, so are we.
We know.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the agenda. Number 5, we don't have the warrants or bills available at this point, so we're gonna have to table that till next meeting. And 6, we don't have minutes.
Nope.
So we're gonna have to table that also. And 7 is the town administrator report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the board, the audience. I have a couple of things.
1 second,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
just gonna move this, so this takes up everything.
Okay. I just have a couple things to report on since our last meeting last week. Number one, this Monday, we had our new hire start as assistant assessor. Betty Jo O'Brien started on Monday. So the office is fully staffed now. The office is staffed now, not to full capacity, but it is staffed on a full-time basis. So Betty Jo will be there for 35 hours a week, and the public is obviously welcome to go there, take any questions down. She's still getting situated in the office, and she's going to be having some training in the next coming up weeks, and I'll be working with the Board of Assessors to arrange that training. There may be a requirement to have the assessors appoint a special assistant assessor because we're going to be bringing in somebody from a neighboring community that has some experience in assessing, has been an assessor for several years. But I'll be working with the Board of Assessors on possibly making that appointment, because the Board of Assessors, under statutory authority, has the ability to appoint additional assistant assessors as they needed. So I would envision that this person that we may bring in from another neighboring community, in order to pay for this service of training, we will have to appoint her. So there may be an appointment that be coming in front of the board at some point to have the training. But we're really excited. I spoke to Betty Jo a couple times this week. She's really excited to be here as well. So we welcome her on board. The park grant, there was two requirements that were required to be done, that we had a due date that we complied with the state on the park grant. One was to get a document recorded, the park agreement that was signed by the park commissioners, the conservation commissioners, and by the chair of the select board. That agreement signaling that Lucy Stone is officially recognized as a park in town, along with our town meeting vote that happened in November, along with our park boundary map, was all taken. I took it down to the Worcester County Registry of Deeds on Monday. Got it recorded. It is officially on record for the town. sent the recording to the state as part of the requirement for the grant. So we're in compliance with the grant for that. Also on yesterday, on Wednesday, the quarterly report was due, and we submitted that on time. I worked with Tim O'Brien and Joyce Ihawker to formulate what we were doing with progress reports on the grant. They're in their preliminary phase design, their design phase of the project. So we reported that to the state, and we got that submitted on time. On Wednesday, I traveled out to Woburn, Mass, on behalf of the town. And the reason why I went to Woburn, Mass, was to speak with Roselli Clark and Associates, who are certified public accountants, who, as I had mentioned in a previous Board of Selectmen's meeting, our auditor is retiring. And it is critically important that we have an auditor on board ready to go. And we're doing our due diligence with trying to find out costs, because we realize that our current auditor, who's been with the town for probably about almost 20 years, has been giving the town a pretty nice price in terms of auditing services throughout the years. Prices have gone up, and we are getting 3 different written quotes and estimates, but this Roselli Clark and Associates come highly recommended by our current auditor. So I took a road trip out there and kind of interviewed the person, kind of talked to the person. This person, Tony Roselli, has over 30 years of auditing and accounting experience. He taught class for the Massachusetts Department of Revenue Bureau of Accounts. He's well versed in GADSB, which is the general accounting for municipal government principles. He is also very much educated in bonding capacities, in helping improving bond capacities for cities and towns. He currently works for many cities and towns across the Commonwealth as their auditor. And this was just one person in particular as a recommendation from our previous auditor. So he wanted to meet, and if this person is to be selected, I would envision myself working with him on the bonding issues as well for capital projects moving forward. It is one of my goals, my personal goals, is to increase our bond rating capacity, which is showing is basically our credit rating for the town. We are at an A1 right now. I'd like us to get to AA status, and through our financial stewardship, and with the board's recommendation of continuing to sock away some money in stabilization accounts, such as what you guys did at the fall special, is very helpful to our bond rating capacity. And he was very impressed by that article that was put on at the fall special. So he's that was one thing that we had talked about. In addition, as a side note, that one of the things that he had recommended, and I think it is something that maybe we should talk about, is putting away and adopting a section where of the Massachusetts Code where we can put away for OPEB benefits, other post-employment benefits that we have to pay out for our retirement, our retirees in town. Our current pension system is not completely funded, so we should start putting away like a savings account to fund our pensions and to have our liability completely funded. So there may be an article at the annual town meeting that will have a savings account to help fund our pensions and to start saving for our pensions. So we would adopt a state General Law Code, and that would create the savings account, and then we would annually put money in there. So even if we start out small with $25,000, it just shows that goodwill commitment on behalf of the town to taking our debt seriously. So that was a really good suggestion, I thought, that this person had put forward, that I'd like to talk about when we talk about some of our warrant in articles. Speaking of warrant articles, I had sent out a memo this week notifying boards and commissions. It's that time of the year again. We're going to be heading towards annual and special town meeting to have your warrant articles ready and drafted. We had asked them to be sent back to me no later than March 14th by noon, so that it gives us enough time to process them, to get them to you, to have town council look at them in anticipation for our May 9th special and annual town meeting that is vastly approaching. So we're in the process of getting that organized, as well as making sure that all of our requests are handled. So if there's line item transfers that are going to be needed, I'm working with departments to say, let's get them addressed at the special, so we don't have to have FinCom go through 30 requests as we did last year. So again, streamlining the process, making it a little bit more easier and effective, and that's our goal, is to get these addressed at the special versus having FinCom having to go through them through the month of May to the end of June. Today I had all morning, I was with the police chief and the lieutenant. We had 4 candidates for the position of police officer. We interviewed 4 people, 4 very highly qualified individuals, and it's our hope that somebody will emerge from this selection pool, and that there will be a candidate that comes before the board for your review and consideration in the not too distant future. So that was taking place today. We also were notified by Jeremy Olson, our highway surveyor and highway director, that the snow and ice account is almost at deficit spending. So I said that we will work with him to get a article, to get an order before the board at the next meeting to allow for deficit spending. It is allowed under Mass General Law. However, it is also required that the Board of Selectmen be notified and that they authorize that to get that done. So we will have that before the board in anticipation for next meeting. So I wanted to bring that to your attention.
Make sure FinCom knows about it too.
Yes, I did communicate that to FinCom as well.
Okay.
So, I just wanted to let you know that will be coming for next meeting. It'll be on the agenda for next meeting. Tomorrow we have a posted meeting at 10 a.m. We have our government relations rep of the Northeast from CSX Rail. He will be in town. I called other members of the select board, Mr. Chairman, and they signaled that they may want to participate. So I said that we should post the meeting, obviously. And so the meeting is posted. And Ralph Zabrowski from our wastewater treatment plant, he will be here as well to talk about some issues.
Jeremy?
Jeremy, I will call him as well.
Yeah, make sure he's contacted, because again, his roads, they're going underneath these bridges, and
sure,
he's gonna need to know what's going on with them too. Okay,
I will call him as well tonight. And we're in the process. FinCom met on Tuesday night, and I met with them, and we've just been going through the budgets continually. There's a couple questions that they had that I'm circling back with departments to get their answers to their questions. and we'll be getting that back to FinCom. They anticipate a couple more meetings, and then, and then possibly calling in some additional departments. I'm not sure if they're going to call in some more. I know that they've called in some, but they may call in a few more departments if they have any further questions on their budgetary requests. And the budget process is moving right along for that. Building improvement updates. The electrician was here today. He did most of the work that it was requested for the town clerk's office, for the treasurer's office, the break room area, the hallway. There was a request there. So most of that has been done. There was one issue in the closet that needs to come back on to get a box, a certain size box, to cover those wires. And other than that, those issues have been addressed. Some of the desks have started to come in. These desks were workstations that I worked with the individuals on. What type of desk do you feel that would be comfortable to and most productive for you within this budgetary area? We're not buying $5,000 desks, but we're staying within a budgetary number, realistic number, and they started to come in. And we're continue in getting some quotes. I've gotten one quote so far. I'm waiting for two more on some painting, because we have some painting projects that need to be addressed. The Historical Commission, Ms. Buck, had stopped by the office this week. She had indicated that she would like, instead of having the floors done in this historical room, she wants a rug up in the historical room. We can certainly, that's within our budget to do that. If the board wants to move forward with that, we can certainly do that, and get that done as a upgrade in that particular room as well.
Speaking with the upgrades and doing that, the building department, they have a rug in there now. And it doesn't make sense to keep a rug in there or put a new rug in, because you have contractors coming in with dirty boots and stuff, and it's really hard to keep it clean. When we remove that rug, to look at the floor, if we can restore the floor to hardwood, because it would be much more prudent to restore the floor and keep it as a hardwood floor than to put another rug that's just going to wear down years later and have to be replaced again, or have to pay for cleaning of the rug. It's easier to maintain the floor, the hardwood. So if the floor we're able to save it, I think that's the best bet, and also the most efficient way to do it for the long run. They may have had to do some repairs in there, and there might be some plywood under the floor. We don't know what the condition of the floor is until the rug comes up. But once we know that condition, if we can restore that floor, that would probably be our best bet to do in that room.
I don't know if we will have all of the funds to do the floor in that room.
Maybe not this time,
Not this time, yeah.
but in the future.
In the future, yep.
But I wouldn't put a new rug in there
No.
to do that.
Yeah.
And we got to understand, we're going through this in phases. We're
Right.
trying to do as much as we can and clean up the building as much as we can. Paint, fixing the floors, getting some desks that are broken, taking care of that stuff within our budget that we can do that. And then next year, hopefully, after the annual, we can get approved for some
Maybe
more
a
money
phase two, yeah.
to do a second phase and do more, because there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that's been neglected for many years throughout the building that we're trying to catch up on. We're finding electrical work that's dangerous that we're trying to get fixed. The floors, we're trying to make them nice for the employees to be able to work in, painting, things like that. We're gonna have to look at a window project here in the future for this building to be able to keep it a nice building. So there's a lot of stuff we gotta look at long-term too. But just keep that in mind. You know, I'm not really a fan of rugs in public offices because something gets spilled, you have to have somebody come in and clean it, and it's just hard to do versus just mop it up. But if the floor is so damaged that that's all we can do,
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. That particular office has 15 file cabinets full.
Yes.
15.
Yeah.
Along with other, desks and chairs and
Mhm.
conference tables. That is a significant amount of
Yes.
stuff to move out of that particular office.
Yeah.
And I just don't think it, at this phase, would be feasible to have, and we may have some money to be able to do it, but we could probably, maybe at the very least, get the rug cleaned properly.
That'd be nice.
If we can get the
That'd be
rug
good.
cleaned for now,
Mhm.
but in the future, next phase, let's make sure that's, if we can, part of the project.
So part of the problem is if the floor's a mess and now we won't have ordered carpet, so how long so you're gonna pull everything out of there, pull up the rug, see what's there. If it's a disaster, now you gotta order the rug and wait to get it installed. So we're gonna have to have a contingency of where
We're
people in that
going?
office are
Where
gonna
we're
work.
going?
Because it may take a week to get carpeting, I don't know, to get it
Oh, sure.
installed. I mean,
Sure.
Unless we move everything back in. But it's gonna be a logistical nightmare potentially, so.
Well, that's one of those, to pull up the rug, we can move stuff to the side, pull up half the rug, move stuff to the other side, pull up the other half. We could see what we have under there. It's gonna be ugly for a little bit,
Mhm.
but then we can get that. And removing rug is really not that difficult. It cuts up, so we can cut up big sections and leave what's underneath the filing cabinets, so we don't have to move a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah,
And, remove it in sections, get rid of the rug. You're not gonna have a rug in there, but at least we'd see what's under there and say, okay, we could save this floor, let's get the floor guys in. Or, no, there's a big chunk of plywood and section of the floor is missing now. We can't finish that, let's just put a new rug in.
or see what it costs to put flooring in. I mean,
Is all this being assumed that it's not, like, good underneath?
well, that we don't know
Is
that.
that
We
why?
don't know. We don't know why they put the rug there. They could have put the rug there because there was some damage to the floor and they said, well, it's just easier to put a rug in there, for that
So
reason.
nobody knows what's under there,
We don't
basically.
know. You don't know
It
until you
could be
rip it up.
perfect.
Most
You
likely
know,
it's
it
wood
could be
floors.
perfectly
And
fine.
most likely they could be preserved because of the rug.
They
But,
may have just wanted a quiet room,
yeah,
so they put the carpeting down and you reduce the noise by a significant amount, so. Is it quiet in there now?
Not really.
It'll be louder
Not really.
without the carpet.
but yeah, so we could just keep that in mind, what the plan is. Again, it's probably not gonna happen this time.
As long as we're not forgotten.
You're not
We're
forgotten.
kinda getting that.
You
we're
and, you're
forgetting.
not forgotten in that office, believe me. But we have to have a plan, because again, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be moved around in there. And
We're
gonna
saving
try.
the best for last, that's what it is.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll believe that. I'll let Jill know.
That office will be getting painted. There was a request to get it painted. That office is getting painted as part of the painting project. So that.
Which is a good thing before they
Yeah.
go in, if they're gonna do the floors or put a new rug,
Yeah.
get it painted before that
There will
happens.
be, there was a request for a couple desks in there. I'd like to get a new computer for conservation.
Yeah, I don't know how long that computer's been there.
Yeah. So,
So we're working on it. There's a plan. All right?
Mhm.
All right. Anything else, sir?
no, I think that wraps up for this week's report.
All right. Well, thank you very much, sir. Do you have any questions for me?
I do not.
Do you have any questions, sir?
No, sir.
All right. Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Farrar. And tomorrow, Chief, you gonna be available tomorrow around 10 a.m.?
I'm supposed to be out of town for the first part of the morning, for the CSX thing.
Yeah,
Let me see if I'm supposed to meet my brother out of town. and give him a
because you
ride.
might have some questions about chemical hauling and things like that.
Let me see what I can do. I can't promise right now, because I do have a prior engagement, so,
Okay.
I'll get back, I'll let Jim know in the morning.
And so Jim McKeon. He'd probably be good to have on there as the emergency management guy, have at that meeting.
Mhm.
And then also Chief Millette, if he's available. Maybe he should be there too.
I think this is just an initial meeting. I don't
Right.
wanna, I don't wanna overwhelm this guy and not have him come back again.
Don't want to overwhelm him, but it'd be nice to hear what he has to say
Mhm.
and the invested parties, because if anything happens to that bridge or that train, these are the guys that are going to be there, and it would be nice for them to hear what he has to say, and maybe he could answer some easy questions or whatever. But it'd be nice to be able to have that dialogue. Because we don't know if he's gonna come back.
Right.
This might be the one and only meeting, and I wanna get as much out of it as we can. You know, you made it this far, let's, get something out of it. And, I think Jim McKeon would be great, Jeremy Olson, Chief Lavoy, Chief Millette, Select Board would definitely be a good group to have there, because everybody's invested in that. In the train going through here and those bridges, everybody has their own perspective of that, and maybe have a question or two relating to it. So, and again, we don't know if he'll ever come back here again after this. So
My hope
let's
is
get
that
what
he
we
will.
can out of it. And, we're all gonna be very respectful. He's coming here, taking time out of his day to do that. And our goal is to open up that communication and maybe answer some of our questions right off the bat. He might be able to easily put some stuff to rest for us. So that's the goal for tomorrow. Yeah, if you can.
I'll text Jim tonight, I'll make a phone call when I leave here, I'm kind of booked in the morning here, but if I could push it off a little bit and see if I can do a little bit later, that would work, but, I'll let Jim know one way or the other.
Okay. Jim McKeon? You on? You're logged on. Yes, sir. Would you be available to stop by for the meeting tomorrow at CSX?
Yes, yeah, I heard you. Yes, you said at 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock, and we're gonna meet here at the building.
Oh, okay.
All right? Thank you, sir.
Sounds good. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Do you have anything else?
No, I don't.
No, sir.
Okay. All right, so new business. We don't have any new business, I don't. Do you?
No.
Do you?
Neither.
Okay, old business? None?
None.
Okay, correspondence. Really have any?
Didn't leave anything.
No.
No?
Not me.
Nope. Comments and concerns. Do you guys have any comments and concerns?
No.
No, sir.
Okay, anybody from the public? Mr. Condrat?
Joe Condrat, resident. With reference to the railroad, I believe a legislation has been proposed in Congress addressing concerns of different types of rail cars, which they propose to have marked, I guess, with the chemicals.
Placards on them?
Yeah, they already do.
They'd already have placards, it's the law.
It's the law, but now they're going to try to enforce it.
Well, they can enforce it through, DOT should be enforcing them, and NTSB. They should be enforcing that and making sure that that's happening. They should be clearly placarded what's whether it's flammable or if it's reactive to water or anything like that. Again, but
I've
the
seen a lot-
the trains are on their own program too sometimes.
This is true. I've seen a lot of chemical cars rolling through town.
Well,
They're just plain black
ju-
with nothing on them.
Just because it's a chemical car or a liquid car that's on there, doesn't mean it actually has anything in it. It might be empty at the time, and they might not be required to have placards on it at that point because they don't have the required threshold for what they're carrying, or what they would have carried. They might be just transporting empty cars back, and they took the placards off because there's no need to respond to them. So we don't know what's in them, and I think tomorrow a question could be asked about it, and that would be great to have Chief Lavoy there if he's available, to maybe ask some questions about the transportation of what's going on our train tracks here throughout our community. Because maybe there's a way that he can get notified what's being moved through at a certain time. We'll try. We could always ask. And, maybe there might be specific training that we can get the fire department related to railroad incidents. Maybe they would fund something like that for them. And, to help them out, to better understand, railroad incidents. But these are questions that we could ask tomorrow too. And anytime that they propose legislation for laws that are already there, it's,
I realize it's redundant.
Showcase.
yeah, all it is like, okay, we had an incident, so let's pass a new law saying the same thing that's already been said, and that's required by law. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Hopefully they can get some more enforcement on making sure that things are better marked.
I know that they were also proposing to have, I guess it's some type of monitor when the train goes by to see if those bearings are getting hotter.
Mhm.
And the railroad themselves need to be trained, because this train that was basically demolished in East Palestine, Ohio, it went through 3 cycles, and in each cycle, the wheel bearings were getting hotter.
Mhm.
So they wanna put that nationwide, but then they're gonna have to train somebody to understand, all right, this is what the heat of this railroad is at this point. 10 miles down the road, it's getting hotter, stop the train.
So, again, that's railroad safety.
Yeah.
We have nothing to do with any of that.
I would assume that they would put at least one in Warren.
Well, they should have, and I think they're required to have the automatic braking systems on any chemical cars. The problem is if you have cars up ahead that aren't hauling chemicals, different situation. But again, that's way above our pay grade and our levels. That's, Transit Authority and NTSB and all of them to work out. We're just working on bridges and making sure that our tracks going through our town are as safe as can be, and they're being taken care of, because we don't want an incident like that. And we know we're very well aware of the condition of the bridges in town. And
I think the last derailment in Warren was probably around 1960. And that dumped a couple of rail cars into the river. But then you gotta bring in the cranes to pick them up, get them back on the track. It ties up not only a fire department, it's gonna tie up the police department.
I'm pretty sure at that point they bring in their own people. They have their own crews, their own people to deal with all that stuff, because that's specialized stuff. Our fire department can't handle what's going on in the tracks. That's specialized stuff, specialized equipment to deal with that. And depending on what they're carrying, we just don't know. But I don't know if you guys get trained much on rail stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very highly regulated industry. I mean, it has to be, they are required to have placards and be hazmat, compliant and everything, and, more than likely, if you don't see a placard on a tanker, it's exactly what it is, probably not full to, or at least doesn't have a quantity of product that's required by law to be, to be placarded, but, I keep an eye on the train as, I pass through town all the time, and, I can tell you the ones that I do see do have placards on them from my standpoint, so, there are a lot of different resources out there with training. I mean, you can get anything, rail car safety training from FEMA, you can get it through MEMA, you can get it through the fire marshal's office, so, all firefighters are required to be trained to the first responder level and hazardous materials operational level, which gives them the basic understanding of operate safe enough to not get killed, and to do, basic safety, take basic safety measures that make sure they don't put themselves in a, an area where they could have an inhalation, hazard or evacuation. I mean, for us, hazardous material stuff, depending on what it is, especially if you're talking rail car stuff, I mean, our biggest priority is creating, a safe zone and figuring out exactly what we're dealing with and what chemical, and making sure we take care of evacuations and stuff first, you know what I mean? We'll manage everything else secondary, and at that point, most of the resources, we're gonna call a state hazmat team in, they'll start to do analysis and decide what direction they're gonna go with it and everything, and at that point, all the parties start to come together. But the biggest thing for us is to determine what it is, how much of it is there, and what do we have to do to make sure people are safe and out of a danger zone at that point, so. But yes, there's multiple options for training, and most, all firefighters and first responders in general at least have a minimum training on hazardous material.
Anything else, Mr. Condrit?
Well, on a slightly unrelated subject. Today, a bald eagle died in Arlington. The autopsy of it showed rat poison. And they traced it back to a rodent bait box. So, I guess what they were recommending is, if you're gonna put out one of these rodent bait boxes, see if there's a raptor nest anywhere around. I mean, we have owls, we have hawks, we got peregrine falcons in town. The problem is, if a rodent takes this bait and gets away, a cat or dog could attack it. And as soon as the rodent's blood gets into the animal's mouth, they could actually die from rat poison. It's just something to think about. Because there are a lot of people, I mean, let's face it, even I had mice in my house this year. I didn't use I think it's called decon. I didn't use any. I have a cat, which took care of the problem. But, you think about all the cats that are outside, because people let their cat out to do their duty. And how many times you might, say like on the larger properties, let your dog loose. It's gonna chase rats, it's gonna chase the mice. You don't wanna lose a pet because somebody didn't think. It's just a comment to think about.
Well, thank you very much about that. And it's always the best choice to use a mechanical trap that puts the rat or the mouse out of suffering immediately. But again, we do have a rodent problem in the town and the community too, and that gets into public health issues too. So it's a balance. It's a tough balance. Okay? All right. Anybody else have any more comments and concerns? Anybody on Zoom? Comments, concerns?
Nope.
Okay. So next meeting is tomorrow with CSX, and that's at 10 a.m. And that's just a quick discussion with them and a tour of the bridge. Our official meeting for, well, this is wrong.
Yeah. Be March 9th.
March 9th.
We have the legislative update. We have Senator Oliveri and Rep. Smola tentatively scheduled for next meeting, as well as other business. Now, they both said they would be here, but if there's a House or Senate
Session.
session,
Get called into a meeting.
they could get called.
Yeah. So the next meeting is March 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. and that here at the Shepherd Building. And that's the regular Board of Selectmen meeting, meeting with some of the state reps and senators. So, other than that, your time.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Rich Hacker, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye. We are adjourned.